Okay, Chris, don't talk. All right, Chris, if I've done this correctly, we are once again live. This is episode 69. Can you hear me, buddy? That's funny. I don't hear you. Your mic, are you muted all of a sudden?
Boom, we're back.
Damn it, man.
I know we couldn't right off the start. Okay, guys, welcome to episode 69. I promise you at least an additional 10% of not jank. I couldn't even get the sentence out.
It's not starting off very good.
Well,
man.
I was going to say 10% more professionalism, but then I was like, no, lies. It's all lies. Guys, welcome to the episode. We are going to chat about two different things. Today's topics are going to be, first and foremost, I want to talk about the big news today. 13 new games announced for PSVR 2 launch
announced
window.
Announced where, Chris?
On the I can't drop F-bombs now. On the blog. On the stupid fracking blog. I hope fracking. Battlestar Galactica fans, I don't know. I don't even know if we're gonna get away with that.
I think it'll be so close. I'm pretty sure their algorithms will be like, no, he probably said the effing word. We'll just no.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll see. Can't.
Oh, fudge.
Yeah, fudge. So we're talking about all those new games. We're going to go through that list. We're going to give our thoughts on that. We've got some details as well. The blog at least provided some details on enhancements, whether there were free upgrades. So there were some gooders in there. We'll go through that, and then we're also going to jump into our topic of the week that kind of became a thing with the launch of Grid Legends last week. It's a topic of conversation that I have found very interesting, and that is, I mean, I guess it depends how you want to say it, but this idea of let's call it AAA games that we're probably really excited to see coming from bigger developers trying to make those games happen on the Quest, and kind of how that, we're going to go into a little bit of specifics about how that game was handled, and also just the topic in general, and we'll probably throw in some conversation there around the pricing of said game as well. But before we do, guys, hit that like button if you're listening to this live, or if you're listening to it later. It doesn't matter. It really helps out. Subscribe if you're not already, and of course leave comments. We love comments, especially around the podcast. It's always fun to chit chat with you guys. It's one of the reasons we did this live. So on that note, if you're live in chat, what up? Thanks for joining us, guys. We are going to be dropping some codes for Primal Hunt, a game that just came out today. Ryan dropped a review for that, so make sure you
This
check
is
that
Primal
out
Hunt,
as well.
a VR hunting game in a
It's a
future
decent
where
game,
dinosaurs have
and we've
been
got codes
brought
for you
back
guys.
to
So
life.
keep
Strapping
an
on
eye
your cybersuit, you
throughout
must venture into a
the
variety
episode.
of
We'll be
biomes to
dropping
hunt down
some
your
codes for you guys, so
prey.
it's gonna
There
be
haven't been a
first
ton of
come,
VR
first
hunting
served.
games to talk about, so when I heard that the
Yeah.
crew
On that
over
note,
at
Chris,
Phaser
I'll
Lock
let you keep talking
Interactive,
while I do
makers
this
of
here. What
Final
do you-
Assault,
have you been
were
playing
making a
anything
dinosaur hunting
specific?
game called Primal Hunt. I was
Well, I started
immediately
to play
intrigued,
Primal
as the
a
few
little bit
games in
today.
that genre that I have played have
Ryan
been,
was the one that played this
well,
one through.
lacking.
I
And after
wanted
watching the
to,
trailer for Primal
I have
Hunt
not
and
played
learning
this
that a
through.
few
I
of the
will fully
developers
admit,
on
I
the
am
project
not- I
were
have
also
not finished
involved
the
with the
game. This is
classic
a
Turok
15-20
franchise,
game,
not gonna lie, I was a little
I'm still
excited as
playing
the
it. I
Turok games do
cannot-
hold a place in my heart.
Well,
And
you
Peter
talked
be
about that in your
damned,
review,
I
that it's a
love
little,
killing
might
me
be a
some
little bit
virtual
repetitive.
animals.
It's kind of like try to drag out the experience as far as.
Listen, dragging it. I hate using words like that because it does sound like it's.
Hey
like,
guys,
like
it's Chris from the
grinding it or
VR
dragging it.
Grid.
It's not
This was
quite the
originally
case. It's
written
just-
by
Oh,
Ryan,
it's
but it's gonna be
video,
my
audio
sexy
is
voice
loud,
that you
Ryan.
get in the
God
video
damn
version.
it.
And with
I
that,
used the
if you
same
like this
files
video,
last
please
time.
hit that
Ah.
like button. And if you
There it is. I apologize, everyone. I used the same file, but it obviously didn't remember, so that's been muted now.
Well, what you might not have heard in the beginning, I said
God damn
10%
it.
more professionalism. Wrong.
Irritates me. I mean, the good news is next podcast we should be good to go.
No promises. No promises anymore.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, here comes all the comments. Oh
Well,
my
this is
God.
this is what you get for us trying to like put videos into our into our podcast, not just having
No.
us just our faces.
No,
So
no excuses, because you know there's people like Gamertag and Alex VR in there, and they don't have these problems.
I'm sure they did when at least when GT had his pod.
I don't know. Whatever.
We're good now. The point is, you didn't
Alex,
miss anything.
1%. Okay, so what you missed is me going, hey, subscribe, comment, like the video, you know, all that. I introduced today's topics, and I'll summarize very quickly. We are going to talk about the 13 brand new PSVR games. We're going to go through all the details for you guys, as far as upgrades and enhancements and what we think of said games. And then we'll get into this week's episode topic, and that is going to be AAA games trying to come to Quest. AAA, big games, big developers, and whether we think they should even attempt that. And then we're also talking about some pricing around those games. So that was
we discussed two very different topics, but sure.
Well, I think it relates, right? I'm not getting into, I don't want to get into game pricing as a whole.
Not pricing. I'm talking about graphics. That was the whole point of this thing, was graphics and like what's like in VR and what's acceptable in regards to like.
But that all goes hand in hand with this.
All right. Let's just not. We'll get there. I'll just turn the conversation any way I want, anyways. So it works out.
You do not get to have.
I'm the producer. I can mute you in 2 seconds. I have all the power.
Well, muting is your problem.
That's just true.
Okay.
Chris, what have you been playing?
Like I started to say, I have been playing a little bit of Primal Hunt, and again, you guys probably didn't get that either. We're going to be dropping some codes for Primal Hunt in the chat throughout the podcast, so that'll be a first come first serve. So keep an eye out for that.
Get your phones ready.
Get your phones ready, exactly. I've been playing a little bit of that. I haven't played a lot of it. Ryan has a review up, so check that out. He's played a crap ton of it. It's a pretty long game, and I want you to talk about that because you said you don't feel it was padded that much. I'm going to ask you, did it run out of ideas?
Well, I'm still unlocking gear slowly. Like I'm still in the process of like upgrading that skill tree. So to say it run out of ideas, it's the saying Mario ran out of ideas after the first stage. That's not quite the case. So it hasn't run out of ideas. It's just slow. It's just been a slower paced game in regards to progression. So like every stage doesn't feel like a dramatic leap from the last one. Like the difficulty spike is just, it's very slow and very gradual. So I don't want to say it's
well, the reason I say ran out of ideas is because from your review, I kind of got this idea that it was it made you work maybe overly hard for the unlocks. And does it have, and so my question is, does it have enough like ideas to keep itself interesting, to keep going back and doing hunts over and over again? Is the gameplay fun enough to sustain it through not getting those
because it's
things?
Because it's a campaign, you don't really have to go back. Like it's a 3-star system. So their main stars if you like kill the thing you're supposed to kill, and you have other objectives as well, right? So if you complete all those objectives, you have no reason to go back to that hunt. So it's kind of designed, not to say replay factor isn't there, because it is if you want it to be, but it's not. It really is designed to have you constantly moving forward to the next kill, to get that next trophy kill and put that in your trophy room and unlock more arrows or unlock different types of arrows, and then fight the bigger animals. And once the tech dinosaurs come in, that dramatically changes the game. And like I said, because they do it so slowly, it just when you start to relax, it is when the next, it does seem like that's when the next tech dinosaur shows up, and the tech dinosaurs change everything. Like when, instead of just shooting at a raptor running at you, when that raptor is also firing lasers at you, it changes the game. Things that you could exploit on the regular dinosaurs, you can no longer exploit because there are homing missiles flying your way. So that's why I say it's really hard. I don't want to come off as saying this thing is grindy or this thing is this or this thing is that, because it's not. It isn't that. And this is something I struggle with the review. And part of this too is I was rushing through this thing as fast as possible. So it isn't normally how I'd play this as well. I said, like, play through 2 or 3 rounds, take a break. This game isn't designed to be played in like an 8-hour, like a 20-hour session in one go. I mean, there are hardcores out there that would do that, but I just don't think that's how this was designed.
That's good. And that's my question for you, because it looked like I watched your review and I got the sense that you were fairly entertained throughout, but that was just the one thing that I guess I had wanted a little bit more kind of like information on, as far as like, because I haven't played enough of it yet. of like, is the hunting, is there enough depth in the hunting? Is there, like in the mechanics itself, are the creatures throwing enough new behaviors at you or different creatures, like just enough so that, like you said, it's like a long campaign, but and you don't go back, but it's like if it's just repeating those same kind of encounters over and over again, like it seems like what you're telling me is that it has enough ideas, whether it be through gear unlocks or different hunts and different challenges in those hunts, that it is continually keeping enough new ideas. It hasn't just stopped. Like you and I were talking about Song in the Smoke a couple weeks ago off camera, and I was saying that one of the problems I had with Song in the Smoke was by about level 5 or 6 of the game, and I believe there was like, I want to say there was like 8 to 10 levels or something, like levels, but like little worlds that you jumped into. By about level 5 or 6, it was kind of like it was out of ideas. Like it had maybe a new animal that you kind of had to hunt, but like all the crafting, all the survival stuff was pretty much done at that point. And for crafting survival games, like it was a little bit, it ran out of those ideas pretty quickly. The crafting was pretty one dimensional. Like you weren't building bigger shelters. There wasn't like it kind of just ran out of steam, even though the game kept going.
I mean,
And
I'd say this is very similar, I guess, in that regard. Because I mean, like I said, the core gameplay doesn't change. You're still tracking animals the same. They're just bigger and more deadly, but it's still the same formula. So yeah, I guess in a way, in a way, it does run out of ideas. But at the same time, like I'm not sick of those. I'm not sitting there being like, oh, this again. Like I'm still engaged, especially as in the later stages. Everything, all the, especially the tech dinosaurs, they can kill you, and they can kill you quick. And if you die, I mean, death is also, like I said, quite punishing because you could have to restart the whole stage. So you are scared to die because the wrong move, the wrong counter, if you're not paying attention and you take damage, like you can die fairly easy if you're not playing this properly. So it's the risk reward thing, I guess. I mean, I'm digging it. I'm not done playing this thing yet. I plan now that the reviews out. I actually plan on like easing up and playing it. I'm not stopping playing this game. I'm having quite a bit of fun doing it. And I said in the review, the combat kind of reminds me of the VR version of Horizon, like Zero Dawn, in regards to the traps, obviously the bow and arrow thing. And it works good. Like, so one thing is it does feel refined in that regard. All the traps work as they should. And because of that, it does, like, once you start unlocking things, you do feel like, more powerful, like a better hunter. Like you do feel like you're more equipped to take on these larger
which
enemies.
is
Like
important.
the progression there is, it's slow, but it's slow and steady, and it's also good. Like it doesn't feel unfair or rushed. Like it's as the opposite. It's just it's long. Like it's I've been battling how to say this. Like it's a 15-20 hour game. Could it have been like a 10-hour game and sped up a bit? Probably, but I'm not saying it needs that either. It's just
A game like this is going to live or die, like with this kind of game length, on whether the hunting remains fun. And like so,
yeah.
the fun factor is huge here, and it sounds like it's fun because for you and I, we've talked about this as guys who review games. Um, the fact when we know we want to go back and play a game after the review is done, that says that tells you a lot. Now, I see in chat here one thing that Savage Gamer mentioned, and I actually quite disagree with. Like him and I have talked about this. I know how he feels about Into the Radius, but there's nothing about Into the Radius that is triple A, and I think that like triple A gets thrown on pretty loosely, and I'm guilty of that too. That's why I give the triple A. I mean, when you like there's true AAA studios, and we see very little of that in VR. And then there's what I call AAA VR, which would be kind of like just really quality VR, like Farpoint. I would call Farpoint on the PSVR like AAA VR in some ways. The quality is there. Into the Radius on the Quest is not AAA VR. It's a robust VR game. And there's a lot to it, and I think it's fairly well made and it's polished to a certain degree at this point. AAA, not so much. I wouldn't even call. I saw the other one that was mentioned there was Green Hell. I wouldn't call that AAA either, although I might call it AAA VR. Anyways, despite that, I feel like we are organically kind of going into this conversation already about the quest, so we may as well just not fight it and go for it.
Oh, so we're doing this first then.
I think that's what's happening. It seems like chat's already there too. Um,
Sure.
do you want me to kick this off and set the stage, or do you want to kind of start? Because it was kind of my idea for the.
You start because I have to catch up to your page here now. So
Okay.
you do this.
So, guys, this where this all started was I did a video last week for Grid Legends, and it was a game that we were going to do a review on, but the EA slash Codemasters basically just turned around and was like, "Yeah, we're not giving codes to Meta," which is who we were getting those codes through, and that's never a good sign. And I think we can see at least why. But I felt that so I was a little late getting to the game because I didn't really jump on it until a day or two after the game had released, and the amount of hate that that game was getting, I thought was kind of like undeserved to a certain degree. I thought it was an interesting topic. I thought there was a lot of people out there that were like simply writing it off for bad visuals. And the visuals sucked. They suck. They really do. But I feel like it's a complicated conversation because and this is what I was posing to you was that I feel like you got EA and Codemasters, and I found out that they actually pawned this off on a third developer that was in there that did the port. And behind the scenes, we can see that the game was actually running at like something like 36 frames, and then they basically just they basically just artificially up that frame rate. The game's running at a pretty low resolution. There's a lot of tricks happening to that game, and I had said that I felt like it was maybe not the laziest port that people thought it was, because it's like this is still Grid Legends. This is a current game that they tried to make work on the Quest 2. And that's kind of the question. It's like, I mean, I know you were saying like, do graphics make the game? Well, that's the age-old question. But the question that I
Well,
have is,
more importantly is in VR. I mean, VR. I think. I mean, my bullet point for VR is that graphics. I think gameplay first, graphics second. That's always been like the thing, right? Like a solid gameplay doesn't matter how bad your game looks. So I mean, that's. But I think VR is different because when you're in these worlds, if these worlds look like trash, it's less excusable when you're spending like wherever you look. It's not like you're just looking at a screen and like it's different. Like when you're closer up to things, they don't look as good if they don't look good to begin with. So it becomes this question of immersion where is it still immersive when you're looking around being like, "Buh, like this looks like barf." Like I know being in VR is better. I'll always say that, but I think there's a finer line. I think visuals are more important, and I think with something like Grid Legends, yeah, of course, everyone wants GT7. Like everyone wants to be behind like a hyper real looking vehicle in VR. Of course that. But I mean, with the power of the Quest, the mobile processor backing this thing up, and you said in your video, like this is as good as it's gonna get, guys. Like we're playing this on a cell phone. And what do you expect? And I agree with that. And so, like I said, the question is like, should they have done this? I mean, by all accounts, it seems to like the game works. It just looks like ass at times, and it's kind of like, would you rather not have that?
and that's
And
the
I
question.
haven't played Grid, so I can't comment either in regards to that specific example. But if someone said you get Grid Legends as it is now, or you're stuck with your kart racers.
And I honestly feel that with the Quest 2, bottom line, I mean, I've played quite a bit of the game. Could they make Grid Legends look better on the Quest 2? Maybe a little bit. And we've seen that there's some like behind the scenes hacks going on with side quest where people have like kind of like been able to play with the resolution and such. But I mean, really, the game has up to 20 cars like at once that you can be racing online in this game. Like the fact that they made this game work on the Quest 2 is kind of crazy, but the question is, but should they have? And this is where I feel I said like it's a complicated answer, I think, because I feel I have different feelings about this. If
I
only
feel different feelings.
I feel different feelings. If all I had was a Quest 2 if all I had, and I knew that was all I was gonna get. I wasn't gonna be buying a PlayStation 5 and a PSVR 2, and I wasn't gonna be buying a PS or a PC to play games. And I love fucking racing games. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, hopefully we don't get demonetized for the F-bomb. Whatever. Uh, if all I had was a Quest 2 headset, and this is how I felt on the PlayStation VR. Like, I had Drive Club, and it was like in Drive Club wasn't a great looking game. The cars looked amazing on the inside, but on the outside, it definitely looked like a game where they'd taken the detail and the resolution went until it ran. And before it got patched with the pro patch, even the frame rate was not super comfortable. It was a barf
Mhm.
fest on the demo disc, if people remember that. And but I didn't care. I mean, I saw the PC racers. I was like, I really want that, but I'm really happy to have this. And it just kind of was what it was. And I feel like for Quest 2 users, that's all they get. It's all they're gonna get. I really believe this is the fact that they got this is insane. Um, and I don't think it's gonna get much better. It's the full offering. And this whole, "Oh, there's no VR interaction." I'm like, "Give me a break." Flat screens in the menus is kind of just standard for PC racing games in VR as well. It's all about being in the car.
Look,
Um,
Grid Legends is the example you're going with. When we talk about, look at like Medal of Honor as a Quest port, or even Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution. Like, and I think kind of the important message here, I guess, that we're dancing on is the fact that we're kind of seeing we're maxing out on what the Quest 2 can do. Like I think we're seeing that now. I mean, from what I've seen from Grid Legends, what I've heard, they could maybe like iron out some kinks in that. Especially the fact that it's a 30 gig file size does imply that they didn't do much optimizing. So there a chance it could look a little better? Sure, but like a little better. We're not talking about suddenly all the mirrors have full reflections and like, oh, there's shadows and like nothing like that. It'll be like cleaned up. But like I'm trying to think of other ports to Quest that got a downgrade. But I mean, like I said, even Saint Stairs, I guess, is the most recent example where I mean, more than half of the VR YouTuber community just straight up didn't review the game because they didn't want to cover it because it was in such a garbage state. And now we're seeing Grid Legends where suddenly everyone wants to cover it because it's in a garbage state. It's kind of funny how
well,
that works.
the other one of the reasons, at least I believe, that a lot of the VR community, content creator wise, didn't cover Saints and Sinners 2 was that they were irritated with the fact that they decided to release the Quest 2 version and just like and not the PC version. And just kind of like just that it totally took the back seat to this Quest version, and that this is what we had to play, and this is what they wanted us to
But
cover.
this is the same. There's no PC version of Grid Legends.
That's my point. That this is very similar in the fact that a lot of the irritation of people is that Grid Legends is just like there's no PC version to this game. And I mean, if anybody watches my video, I cut to Project Cars 2 on PC just to show the same track, same car, and it was like, oh my god, it looked like we jumped like 20 or 30 years into the future as far as like just I mean it's incomparable from textures to lighting and shadow work and just overall detail, and just everything about the game is like almost incomparable to the Quest version of Grid Legends. And I'm pretty sure that it would have looked very similar if they'd brought a PC version out of Grid Legends and done it justice on PC. But the fact that we just don't get it, we're not given the chance to see this game properly. And this is where I say that I am of different minds, because there's like, if I put on my Quest 2 hat and this is all I have, I'm like, oh my god, I don't care. I get to play something that feels like an actual VR racing game, and not like a kart racer, not a cartoon racing game. Um, and but then on the flip side, as a VR enthusiast and a VR cheerleader, I'm like, I don't want people thinking that's where VR's at. And that's unfortunate, because that's what a lot of people are going to see. And this is where a lot of people's others their opinions came in, that I thought was very valid, in the fact that it's like we worry about the industry, and one of the biggest things we struggle with in this industry is perception and people's expectations. It's such a hard battle. And when you've got the biggest headset in the market, that all these people are seeing in the storefront, and they see this, like, this is what people are going to see for where racing's at.
Look, I think that I think you basically were gonna make the same point I did. We're like we've been living in a Quest world for the last really year and a half, 2 years in regards to game development, and we're seeing that on multiple fronts, where games are being developed specifically for the Quest first, and then other games afterwards, or other headsets afterwards, which means there's a dramatic downgrade in overall quality. Is not the right word, but quality. Games are smaller, they're scaled back, and making a great game and dumbing it down, which is what happened here, is one thing, but making smaller games and trying to like make them better. I mean, I guess Primal Hunt would be a good example. I would love to see Primal Hunt. Like, I would love to see what their original idea for Primal Hunt was. Like, I would love to know the concept art of like these lush jungles and all this stuff that on the Quest you don't get to see. And I like Primal Hunt, I really do. But I found the levels to look really, really stark and oftentimes bland. And they chose a very cartoonish art style for a reason, because it does circumvent a lot of the issues with the Quest 2 processor. You can do, less is more in regards to that. So, but now we're, and we'll segue into the PSVR launch. But we're seeing all the games that were launched today, or the announcements. They're all older games. Or not all older games, but most of them are older games. And I think the reason for that is simply like develop like we were hearing stories years ago of studios basically changing the direction of their games to make sure they were Quest ready, because the Quest was the headset making the money. But because of that vacuum where all of a sudden, like Lone Echo 2 came out a year and a half ago. Year and a half ago? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Really? That long ago? Damn,
Right,
it's just
yeah.
man. So Lone Echo 2 came out a year and a half ago, and then Oculus was like, "Yeah, we're done with those games." But like all these other studios that are like, it's like, they're typically smaller studios, and they have to make their money back. Are they going to release it for the PlayStation VR solely, or are they going to do the Quest? So it's this vacuum of games and studios where Quest, 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 Quest. And now that we've gotten the PSVR, and me and you are more sour on this than many others, but like it's becoming, the library for the PSVR 2 is a ton of PSVR 1 ports and Quest ports.
No, I don't want to segue into that.
I know. I'm not saying, but it's to my point though, and I'm not faulting Sony or anybody else for this. Like this is where the industry is at. Like we, as VR enthusiasts, like we chose the Quest. I don't play my PSVR anymore. I guess I'm part of the problem here, but like as an industry and as consumers, we chose the Quest to be the platform of choice. And or at least overall, I'm sure some PC Master Race guys out there are like, I stood my ground. I'm still Valve Index. All right, buddy, calm down. But for the rest of us, I mean, like, it's the biggest, fastest selling VR headset, like, since this whole damn thing started. So yeah, so the industry has now put us in this place where now it's going to be another, like I said, I think it's here. Like, well, I think it'll be another year. Honestly, like a solid, but it's going to be a solid year, I think, thinking about it, before we start seeing a bigger influx of better games coming to the PSVR. Not to like get too sidetracked here. My point is that we're in a vacuum, and the Quest 2 is it's a portable VR headset. It's a standalone headset. It can't do what everything else can, but for some reason, people expect it to, and when it doesn't, they cry foul. Grid Legends, and I'm not saying they got you don't have to buy the game. I'm just saying like this is now the limits of your headset. Like you don't get it's this or you don't get driving games. And depending on who you are, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't care as much, I guess. But if I was just a Quest guy, that sucks. But you bought into this market, like you knew what you were getting.
Well, I mean, look, let's just use four racing titles as an example, because I agree with you. I really do. I feel like Quest 2, like this is what you get if you want a fully functioning game, like a full VR game with like multiplayer, online, offline, full grid racing, realistic graphics, but an attempt to. Then you got then your next step up is kind of Drive Club, which had to run on the OG PS4 rather, the PSVR 1, right? And I feel like, given the fact that had large grid racing and online multiplayer, that was probably about as it might have got, again, like Grid Legends, it might have been able to look a little bit better, but with the limitations of the PSVR 1, probably not, or the PS4 rather, the OG, probably not. Then you've got then you got GT Sport. And they went the other direction in the fact that the director, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, who straight up said, we had the game running on the OG PS4, but we had to turn the graphics down so low to get it to run, we weren't willing to put that out. So they basically, what we got was most of the tracks, all the cars, and just 1v1, and they just went for the visual top that they could absolutely push out of that thing, just to show you at least what the vision was. But there wasn't a lot to it. I mean, it was just 1v a dumb NPC. And it was, it was very limiting, it was very frustrating, but that's what you got. Then you go to PC. Then you've got and even PC, like I still have racing games that'll push my 3080. So driving games can be a beast to be visually great and run all those physics engines. Like from like suspension physics to tire physics to road physics to weight physics and everything in between that's going on there. Those eat up GPU. They're not easy games. And so the ultimate question becomes, and I actually am curious what you think about this. Should EA/Codemasters, who did Dirt Rally 1 and 2, and they did F122 on PC, should they even have attempted it? Because right now, and we all know this, the only place to make money, for the most part, is on the Quest. And I kind of be like, they didn't need to do this. It's not like you'll actually, funny enough, maybe they did, because I don't think Grid Legends sold well. It was in its flat iteration. I don't, as a racing guy, it looked like it kind of fell flat and no one cared. Maybe they were like, we need to make some bucks, and the Quest users will buy anything that has VR name on it. So let's just jam it out the door. The hell whether the game looks good.
But it comes down to that, and I think it's a bit of a loaded question because let's say they do like fix or patch this, and it is like, I don't know, 10% better or something like that. Like, I don't know, what they can do, but if they do that and it's a better game, then or it's a good enough game, I guess. I'm not sure where that line is. Then sure, I mean, but this launch sounds messy, like you said. Like, all the games there, it's impressive to have 20 cars on there. They just look like crap. Should they have maybe tried to optimize it more, or maybe I don't know. Like you said, it seems like they just kind of hit the VR button and just kept hitting decreased visual quality until
really does.
until it worked, which isn't obviously what we want in VR. But it's like, is it representative of racing in VR? No. I don't know. Like, I know I saw advertising for it. I saw advertising on Facebook and Instagram for Grid Legends from Meta, maybe just Meta's accounts. It's not, I mean, I would be, as a driving guy, if I finally got my driving game and I got that, I've heard some people sing its praises, but overall everyone says it's just, it's a mess. Should they have? Yeah, I guess. I mean, yes. I'm on the side of yes. I mean, you can play this thing for 2 hours and refund it. It's not like you just you're buying, you're done.
But the damage that it might do to VR's image, that is the flip side of that. And I don't know where I totally land on that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's the damage that it does to Quest's image. I think we're at a point now where we can start separating again, especially with the PSVR 2, where instead of it being VR's image, which is what the Quest 2 has been, I think we're at a point now where, this is not. This is Grid Legends, which isn't like the biggest racing franchise on the planet. Yeah, it looks like shit in the Quest. Well, when you check out Project Cars or Dirt Rally or Gran Turismo, and then you actually do more than 5 seconds of research, then this is not the state of VR. This is the state of Quest. And I think that's going to be that's the larger issue. Like, we are already pushing the Quest 2 and now I guess past its limits, and we're seeing those results, and it's not going to get better because the Quest 2 has some serious competition happening in 6 weeks. And I don't give a shit what you say about being tethered or not tethered. I'm not going to buy this thing or not. All eyes are on PSVR 2 right now. No one, everyone's already forgotten about Grid Legends. I mean, except for us on this podcast, everyone's already moved on from that game. The word's out, it's garbage.
But I see it being, I don't agree with that. I mean, I know what you're saying. I think in our world, we've just moved on to the next thing.
Oh no, but
But
if the average consumer picks up a headset, gets a headset for Christmas, they see Grid Legends on there.
They're all there's going to be one of those main marquee titles that
Yeah,
like
you
people
should
are
have bought
gonna
a
see.
PSVR 2.
Well, and that's what, but isn't that the thing though? I feel
It
like
is. This is
argument though of the cord, the cable versus no cable. I feel like when you have Grid Legends and you have Primal Hunt, which by the way is actually on the Oculus PC store, which is crazy.
I
'Cause
know. I gotta download that. It's crazy.
I didn't hear. They didn't say anything about that.
Nothing about that, and it's like
Um,
3 times the size of the game. So I'm
I
gonna check
saw
that out for sure.
twice the size. Yeah. So you've got Primal Hunt, and then you got Horizon Call of the Mountain. Then you got GT or Grid Legends, and you've got GT7. I feel like for the Quest people that are just like, "Nah, here's a cable." You know what?
Dude, okay,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
take
cut you.
that
I'm
cable
gonna
and
cut you off. I'm cutting it
I'm
off.
gonna check that Quest
This
user
like
out.
this is like Game Boy Advance users bitching because their games aren't the N64 version. Like you are playing like you have a mobile headset for a reason. It is limited. It's just that friggin' like it's that simple. And like I said, because all the development was focused on the Quest, there was just like everyone got the same game. I mean, you occasionally got games like Vox Machina that got like it's better on the PC, but but for the most part, everything was like Quest first, only Quest, or built for the Quest with some improved visuals on PSVR or PC, which is how it was. Things are changing, and they're changing soon. I think the realization that oh shit, the Quest 2 isn't the best headset out there. Like all these guys were just like, oh no, no thanks. Like you said, like no cable, no cable, no buy. I'll stick with my Quest 2. Thank you very much. Like, and then I agree, being cableless is amazing, but I am getting quite tired of looking at mobile VR games that they're mobile VR games. I am playing the Game Boy version of what I'd prefer to play right now. And I'm counting down the days. I'm getting more and more pumped for PSVR 2 by the minute. I just want that return to high-end quality. I want to see AAA games come back to VR. So should they have released on the Quest? Absolutely. Because you know what? That's the best the Quest can do. And take it or leave it. If you don't like it, get a fucking PC. I know that sounds like I'm just like a dick right now because like I can't afford a PC. All I can afford is a Quest. Okay, well then that's what you get. Like it's like complete. Like, I couldn't afford a PS5, so I bought a GameCube. Now why can't my GameCube play PS5? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like you get what you pay for. It's a $400 headset versus the $600 plus the console of the PSVR. Like it's showing its limits. And to sit there and complain about them like this is unacceptable. Okay, fine. It's unacceptable. Don't buy that game. Set the precedent. Don't buy the game and let developers learn the hard way. That's all we can do as consumers. But to cry that this should be better or should look better, I don't know. I'm not a programmer. I can't tell you like what Grid Legends should have did right or wrong to make that port better or not. I mean, it got approved by Meta. I mean, for all I know, there was like a massive process behind this, and they were just like, this is the best we can do. It runs at 60 frames per second, and it just looks like garbage. And it was like, fine. I've played games that just they're just designed to look like garbage. Like that's just like there's low, small team, super cartoony, very basic visuals. They don't look any better than this game. And this game, you're just seeing it because you have the flat comparisons and because we have all these things to compare it to. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really have a horse in this race in regards to this specific example. I just think, this is the Quest 2 showing its weaknesses. I guess it's the best thing I can say.
So somebody asked there, and we should have been on top of this. I actually put Grid Legends in the drive there. Do you want to throw it up on the screen? I put my video up on there. Also, Ryan, your mics just went out. Mike, you're Ryan, your mic. There we go.
There we go. Sorry, I accidentally yanked my cable out. I caught it quick. I just didn't hit the power button.
Did you hear me about the Grid Legends there?
Yeah, I just ignored you. I heard it all.
Okay, well, we'll put that up on there.
Just scared to download while I'm in the middle of streaming and talking to you on this podcast.
You should be fine. Anyways, what I was gonna say was in regards to Grid Legends, or more importantly, the bigger topic of the Quest is I was saying to you earlier,
3 gig download.
just do it. I feel like we're in this situation now. For those of you in chat there that are old enough to remember the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s, which I'm gonna guess is most of you, we were in a gaming situation as console gamers. I was a console gamer. I didn't have PC gaming, where there was like this upper echelon of PC gaming that like I just like that was not on console, not even in the it was not even in happening. You saw that the most easily in driving games and first person shooters. Like I remember on PS1, like Medal of Honor when it came out, I was like, "Oh my god, we got a first person shooter! It's amazing!" And I remember my friend's brother had a PC and he was playing like Counter Strike and he was playing Half Life and he was playing all these, you know, for that time, insanely awesome first person shooters with like full like vertical movement and everything, and I was like stuck on these even planes. We're playing six N64 games with like one analog stick on GoldenEye, but like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. And I just remember that PC gaming was so in its own world that the games that were on PC, a lot of them were just never going to come to console, at least not till like years and years later, sometimes generations later. And I feel like we're in a very similar position. And I said to you, I wonder if there are people from back in the day who were only PC gamers who looked at us console gamers with this just despised us and resented us, the fact that like we got games that were console games, licensed games like Jurassic Park or Ghostbusters or, whatever it might have been. Um, all the big games that we played on console that they never got on PC properly, to like have it in all its core, like Medal of Honor. Well, they're like, why can't we have Medal of Honor on PC? Because it could look amazing and it would play so much better. And it's like, but console was where the money was at because every kid had a console.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're in that the Quest and the rest of VR is kind of in that position. That's why we're so excited to think about PSVR 2, because it's kind of like the middle ground. It's where mass VR can handshake with PC and hopefully make another space where developers can make money doing high-end games and not just have the Quest, because I think that's kind of where they're at right now. They, I think we all know that, but it's really frustrating when you're the guy sitting on the more nichey, higher end thing, and you know what's capable, you know what you could play. And like the Grid Legends conversation once GT7 is out is gonna be like I said jokingly, like you guys, great, thanks Ryan for getting that up. It's not even gonna be a conversation. It's gonna be like, look, guys, Quest users, you wanna cry about a cable? Choke yourself with it because I'm busy playing GT7 and it's awesome. It's kind of where
MRI Gamer, thank you so much for the donation there as well. I wanted to get that before we get scroll too
it's
far past it.
it's mystery gamer, by the way.
Mystery? That's a terrible way to write that. I would never guess that. Sorry. MRI Gamer it is for me. Is it seriously mystery?
I think so.
I don't trust the way you read usernames. Recall Shug Miss? That was terrible.
You know
Yeah,
whatever.
but like I said, I don't want to beat this dead horse, but
No,
no,
I think we kind of covered it, but it's a very valid conversation when you've got two groups of people that are coming from, very different
look,
capabilities.
everything funneled down to the quest. Like it's just kind of the way everything worked out. Like it just like everything became centered around the quest. And now that and everyone was just like kind of we got comfortable in it. Not even comfortable. We just like we were all annoyed by it. But VR, the industry as a whole, just kind of got comfortable. It's a little questy. It's all built for quests. This is how it's going to be. No more games are coming to other things. It's just there. And now we're seeing it kind of go back out again. And because of that, there's a divide. It's no longer. It's just the Quest headset, Quest 2 headset is no longer like the headset to buy. And we're seeing that now because the games that are coming out soon, the Quest just won't be able to run. Just straight up, there's no way in hell you're not going to play these things on the Quest. At least, that it would be the long-term goal as, more and more of these things come. I mean, like I said, Hubris was planned for PSVR 1, and I believe the original trailer I want to say said Quest, which makes a lot of sense in my mind given the actual gameplay. But I doubt Hubris is going to Quest now, but like that, all that pretty just it can't be done. And to me, like Grid Legends is the most recent of I'm sure what will be a long line of examples of the Quest just being pushed to its absolute breaking point, just to deliver experiences the same. Like I said, Quest can say, PlayStation has GT7, we have Grid Legends. Like, and it's not the best brag, but on paper, they got something. There's something that is equivalent until you play it. So, like I said, it's just that, it's mobile VR gaming, man. It's just the way it is. I mean,
someone brought a good point. He's like, Switch sold more consoles than PS5. Quest will sell more than the PSVR 2. And I get that
more than
too,
likely, yeah,
to a
100%.
certain degree. And I have I have a Switch. I love my Switch. I play my Switch only when I'm in a hotel or taking a shit. And
Remind me not to touch your Switch.
And I'm just saying that is where I feel like mobile VR gaming is going to eventually end up laying it down. It's going to have its place. Like I saw Nathy posted that, sell your Quest. Why you should sell your Quest and buy a PSVR 2. I'm like, ooh, fighting words, Nathy. I don't agree with that. Like somebody said, what is your Quest made of meth? You're going to buy a PS5 and a Quest and a PSVR 2 as well. But I think I understood his point, and but I don't agree with it actually, because I feel like both are awesome. Like when it comes to physical games, and games that require a lot of mobility, or meditation games, or just anything where mobility and freedom of gameplay, is going to be great. Mobile's going to be great, and is always going to have a place for when you just want to be mobile and not tethered and stuff. Kids are going to love it. It's a cheap entrance to VR, just like Game Boy. Like not every kid had a Genesis or a Super Nintendo, but most kids had a Game Boy.
Did they?
I think so. At least now, I know a lot of kids because I have a lot of friends with kids. All their kids had like Game Boy Advances and stuff, but they didn't all necessarily have consoles. It's just there's a less of a barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Speaking of PSVR 2,
we're segueing.
I think it's time to segue.
Hey, PSVR 2 talk. All you guys that joined early on then left, you can come back now.
You didn't leave. You didn't leave. You stayed for the conversation because you're wonderful.
All right, so let's turn this off and turn this on, and let's just make sure audio's quiet. We're good to go. Nice. So yeah, guys, today was like, another surprise PlayStation blog post, because that's the only way PlayStation VR gets any love from Sony, or PlayStation VR 2, I guess. And we got their 30 games on track to release February 22nd. And before everyone, I've already seen YouTube videos, like the 30 games at launch. You scroll down to the bottom of this thing, it says literally at the very bottom, it says, as more games confirm their launch window availability, we'll add them to the list. See you in February. So this is by no way the final list. What you guys are going to see right now playing below us is the 45 games I now have confirmed to be coming at launch. And when I say confirmed, once again with quotes, because things happen behind the scenes, but all the games that are being played now, they have been confirmed, not just like a dev tweet, but like a full-on like Discord, we're ready for launch, or we're doing this. So anyways, 13 new titles, and new should be in quotes, but new titles.
Well, first things first, let me kick it off because it's my jam. Then you can have every other game in the list you want. I want to talk about
before your eyes. Oh, okay.
I want to talk about GT7 because it is at the top of the blog, even though it's not. I don't think it's one of those 13 games.
No.
But let's just spell it out there for anyone who had any doubts. They straight up say right here, I'll read it for you guys. GT7 in VR takes full advantage of the PSVR 2's next-gen features with eye tracking and foveated rendering. Yes! Players will experience stunning visual fidelity while racing in any of the 450 plus cars. While two-player split-screen races are not supported in VR, all other races, including online races, will be available.
Wait, there's no split screen in VR?
I know, it's weird.
I'm out.
You know what? To be honest, though, when I first read that, I was like, no way. You've managed to let us race on the social screen while someone's in VR as well? Oh my God.
That would be actually pretty cool.
That would be sick. That would never
All right.
happen.
Now, all right,
I'm not done. And it says from Nürburgring to... Oh my God. Tsukuba,
from what?
From Nürburgring to Tsukuba, tracks can be experienced exactly as they are in real life.
Was that Nuremberg?
That's what I said. No, it's well, they actually have it written as Nürburgring.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I'm sorry, I just was guessing.
It is one of those things in when it comes into like European racing courses, and and manufacturers too, where it's like I don't even know how you like Citroen. I still don't know how they pronounce that. But anyways, to put it to rest, GT7 is the full experience. I am so pumped for that. I've played a lot of it flat, and I'm gonna live in that freaking headset with my racing rig when that comes out. So, I mean, that's not one of the 13 titles, but oh yeah,
Yeah. So as I said, we got 13 new titles, and while new is, like I said, a generous use of the word, there are some new games in here. One of the ones that actually sounds really intriguing to me, and the second game that we're aware of that uses blink tracking, if that's even a term, is
it's going to be now.
right. Is Before Your Eyes. Now, we know that Switchback, what's it called? The dark what? What's it called? The dark store Switchback, Russian Blood 2. What's it called?
Switchback, yes.
What's it called? But what's the thing before it?
Oh, the Dark Pictures Anthology.
Dark Pictures. There you go. So we know that uses we know that uses blink tracking or blink tracking.
No, I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video, guys. So just to clarify, in case we didn't, what I had been reading in a interview with one of the developers over at Supermassive, who make Switchback and Russian Blood, they had said that they were going to be using blinking in one of the levels, where you were in the haunted house and there was the mannequins which are placed in the first one, and I think they moved in the Russian Blood as well. But now they only move when you blink. And I guess like it's actually like key to surviving through the haunted house is learning to strategically blink. Although I can see people getting freaked and going ah and blinking like crazy, and then just being mauled to death by things, which is going to be so entertaining to watch. Yeah. So you're right. This is the second title that's mentioned it in the game.
Yeah, and this is actually already available now. I'm not sure how it works. I'm gonna hit the dev and see, but this is actually available as a flat game, I think. I'm not sure if it has VR support yet on the PC side of things. But it says it uses blink tracking on there as well, so I'm not sure what it does. Anyways, it's like it sounds like it's award-winning like narrative story where basically every time you blink, time will jump forward, like, and it's like a random amount. So it's telling a story. Man, my phone's going crazy right now. I didn't turn it off. So that sounds cool as F to me. The idea of like trying to stay in the story in this world and like trying to keep your eyes open, and then like boom, like flash, you're gone, and it's just it jumps you all around. I don't know. It sounds really cool. It's gotten a lot of praise from what I could find out today about the game. So I'm actually excited for it. I'm just excited to see the tech being used more than anything else in ways that no other headset can, right? So, or I guess the Quest 2 could if this goes to Quest 2, but I don't know. I'm still excited to see this.
Quest 2 Pro, you mean? If it wants,
yeah, the Pro. Sorry, the Pro. I meant the Pro.
So it'll be a Quest 2.
It's Quest Pro, not Quest 2 Pro.
Oh yeah, I know I'd make that mistake. You know, looking at this before your eyes, it reminds me, and I've used the term before on my channel.
I'm gonna mess with my camera here. Sorry,
I was gonna say my channel, our channel now.
Son of a bitch.
And I've called it Art VR. And there's a few games that kind of make that. I think of like what the heck was that game called now? You can't hear me, can you? So you can't.
No, I can hear you.
Okay.
No, I'm just my.
What was that game? The giant game. The giant with that had depression and the kid and the mom. Ghost Giant. I think of like Ghost Giant and Mask Maker and Fisherman's I can't
Fisherman's Friend.
Fisherman's Friend.
No, Fisherman's Tail.
There we go. I was like Fisherman's Friend. I'm like, no,
messing with you. I'm messing with
cough lozenge. There's games like those that I think of as like very much like Art VR. Like they're even Moss almost. They're like very special experiences, and they use the VR medium to be beautiful. And you know, Wind and Leaves is almost one of those games as well. And so Before Your Eyes, looking at it, looks like, and they even say on there, it's an emotional award-winning adventure. And when games win like a ton of like artistic awards, usually they fit that category.
Yeah, I get. I mean, like I say, as a guy, a huge fan of like the Invisible Hours, which is much more of an experience than a game. I'm pretty pumped to play this. It just sounds like a cool use of VR. And I honestly might just check it out on flat just to see what it's all about, and seeing just like how cool it would be like for blink tracking to actually like I just picture myself like being engrossed in the story and trying so hard not to blink. Could be funny. And then of course we got Kayak VR Mirage was announced.
But before we get into that, I just want to shout Salvador because last time we
Oh.
didn't wait till we did the end here. Salvador with the $10 donation.
Salvador.
You're dude, you're amazing, and you know you don't have to do this every episode, but we really appreciate the help, guys. You know anything, you know we love you guys just supporting the channel,
Hey,
and being here. But
M-Rig Ammer is also, his $2 donation really helped out too.
I didn't even see that one.
No,
I must have been jumping back and forth.
MRI Gamer as.
Oh my god, mystery gamer! Now you're just massacring.
M-Rig Amer.
I was like gonna say like, yo, and yeah, our follower from the Middle East, Ahmed.
M-Rig.
Anyways, guys, it just really helps. You know, if you want to support the channel as well, we do have a Patreon. It's like a $2 a month type thing. Just you know, as an additional like support to the channel if you want. It helps Ryan and I do all these big giveaways that we like to try to do. And you know, obviously pay for games. Like I had to pay to hate Grid Legends VR, and you know, and so anything that that you guys contribute to the channel goes basically right back into the channel, and so it's very much appreciated. Donald, this was not my pitch for more money, but I really appreciate it. Anyways, guys, just wanted to put that out there. It's very appreciated. We spend a lot of time on the channel and we don't make any money doing it really, so it's always nice to be able to fund the games that we have to buy and review. So
I could actually drop a brand new trailer for 2MD, it looks like. I literally just got that here. I'm just
while Ryan's doing that, bottom line, watching the channel, hitting the like button, leaving us comments is easily the best way, because it's also the most fun, because then we get to talk to you guys. But there are options for those who want to give us a little more pat on the back. But with that, I'll just jump into the next game then. Kayak Mirage VR. Is that
Kayak VR Mirage. Man, I really wish they would have changed their name before the PSVR 2 release. I love this game. Man, I hate saying that name every single time. Kayak VR would have been fine. Kayak Mirage would have been fine. But Kayak VR Mirage is just not great. Anyways.
But I mean, the fact that this game's coming to the PSVR 2, I think is, funny enough, is a testament to some of the things that we've been talking about over the last year, about hoping that eye tracking and the dynamic foveated rendering was going to pay dividends, in the fact that the PS5, even though it's not a powerhouse, it would be able to like be a lot more efficient with that power in only having to render in full resolution stuff we were looking at. And the fact that Kayak VR Mirage is coming to the PSVR 2 officially, and it's a launch title, I think is a testament to the fact of like what that eye tracking is doing. And further to that, I did hear them talking about over at CES, talking about this eye tracking, and that people were saying like it's amazing, you can't fool it. Like no matter how quickly they looked around the screen, once they'd done the eye tracking setup, it was beautiful. Like they were talking about Horizon. They're like, it just looked insane. And I'm excited. They actually say straight up in here, you know, breathtaking locations, photorealistic graphics. And then they do say with PSVR 2's foveated rendering, even though it's dynamic foveated rendering, Kayak VR, and HDR OLED displays, Kayak VR Mirage is looking sharper and more vibrant than ever. And yeah, that'll be awesome. You know what's going to be really cool with Kayak VR Mirage, even though they don't state it, is they'll probably use the haptics in the controllers.
Oh, I'd imagine so.
To feel the like the water and the ores and stuff. I'm really looking. It's going to be.
So before we get to our next game here, I have that new 2MD trailer. How do we want to do this? Do I want to like just air it full size and just shut up for a minute? Because you'll see it later than me. You'll see it. You'll be on a 30-second delay. So what do you want to do, Chris? Do you want me to do that?
You do it.
Put the trailer up right now?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not ready for that.
And well, I'm going to answer. I'll answer Savage Gamer there. I hope you were able to choose your preferred. Oh shoot! There, sorry, I got distracted there.
No, it's all good. I'm gonna do this here.
All right, I was gonna say, Savage Gamer. I hope you were able to choose your preferred pronoun there in Cosmonious High. I thought that was a nice feature that they put in there for you, considering that you often identify as dumb.
Okay, Chris, I'm gonna play this trailer with audio, so there's no point in talking here for the next minute.
Yeah. It's almost game time, and I've been rapping for a minute. We sending shots to anybody that's with it. They can get it at the same time, and we not letting no deception. We rapping for all the fans up in our section. The respect, I'm gonna take mine. Yeah, and undefeated is the baseline. All bark like a K9. Pedal to the metal, no break line. Take time, pride, you can't take mine. This for everybody that want it, and why they yawning. I'm training hard in the morning. Nothing is given to you, it's not yours until you want it. And we already on it. Yeah. I got one more thing, already got 6. What's wrong with one more ring? The trophy got room for one more team. Parade confetti, the hill got room for one more king, and that's you. Put me in the game. I'm an all-star, we are not the same. All I need is one more minute for us to win, and we gon' get it, so call my number like put me in the game. I'm an all-star, we are not the same. All I need is one more minute for us to win, and we gon' get it, so call my number like
Sweet. All right, I'll talk while Chris is still watching. Yeah, guys. I mean, that's 2MD. That's their like brand new like PS5 ready trailer. They just dropped that there and said it's good for me to share. So there you go. There's like a nice reveal. Screw you, Brian Paul. Mwahahaha. Oh, speaking of which, hey Donald D. Thanks for the $5, buddy. You guys got first access to that new trailer, as far as I know. So you guys are the first people to see that. I love 2MD. We both like 2MD. It definitely, it looks sharper than the Quest version by miles. The other trailer they had, they definitely cleaned up the trailer as well. It does look sharper. I mean, it's not the best looking game on the planet. I mean, I don't think anyone here, even True and Pixel, is going to say it is. But it's got football down to it. Like, they've nailed the feeling of football, and it's going to be cheap. It's a cheap game. I think it's like what? Like, I think it's 12. No, I have the prices somewhere, but it's a dirt cheap game to begin with. And if you already own the 2MD for PSVR 1, it's like $4 to upgrade to this version. So yeah. Anyways, back to our games here. I'll just keep playing these trailers. Yeah, Pavlov, Chris, and you know more about Pavlov than I do. Uh-oh. I don't hear you. Is your mic muted?
Damn
There
it.
you go.
Glad you called me on that. What I was going to say was shout out to Joshua Flores for the subscribe to the channel. Glad to have you. So thanks for checking this out. I wanted to segue quickly before we went back into the order of events that they had here. We're talking football, so let's just talk football. NFL Pro Era was also announced for PSVR 2, and they don't have a trailer, but the screenshot they show of it looks awesome. And it was a game that you could tell was like, it was a good looking game on the Quest. Like you could tell it was downgraded for Quest. And so I feel like it's a game that I think is going to look pretty outstanding on the PSVR 2, because it looks in that picture like they like jacked up the visuals, at least the resolution for sure. And it looks slick. And they don't really go into a lot of detail here about the PSVR 2, other than like the crap that you would expect. I'm gonna guess that might use the gaze tracking, which they're using. They're using the term gaze tracking or gaze control, outside, like independent of the foveated rendering, because they're also using gaze control for menu selection and stuff. And I could see the gaze tracking being really helpful with play management.
Where do you see gaze tracking?
I don't. I'm saying I could see them using it.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, the way that game played originally, I mean, it did, like, you had to look at you had to pick your play, and you had to look at who you want to pass to. So yeah, the actually might not work, but I don't think it's going to matter as much as you want it to.
Okay.
Just based upon what I've played, it's kind of it's already kind of baked into the game to begin with.
Yeah.
But I mean, I for NFL Pro, it doesn't say here, but it actually says it in the notes below. NFL Pro Era, once again, guys, PSVR 1 owners get a free upgrade to PSVR 2, which is probably good news, because I've heard the throwing on the PSVR 1 version is actually pretty janky. So I imagine with this, and I'm assuming they're using, Quest / PC. If this isn't a PC game, I don't think. But basically, I'm assuming any tracking issues will go away now that you're not using the wonderful moves. So yeah, if you guys bought this and regretted it, don't worry. Now your investment's paying off with a free PSVR 2 version. Like, there's actually a lot of upgrades coming here. It's actually
lots of free upgrades, which is sweet, and they're confirming it, which is nice. For we'll get into that, but there's another game coming up here that confirmed it that a lot of people were asking about. But moving on to the next game, what Ryan was talking about there with Pavlov. Now, Pavlov is a game that's been over on the PC. I guess technically it's been on the Quest too as Pavlov's Shack. But
This is the PC version.
this is the PC version now.
100% the PC version. Yes.
Well, I don't know if I'd say 100%, and
they've already confirmed that.
Well, I'm not done yet, and I'll tell you why I'm saying it is the PC version in its core game. But the problem is that Pavlov, for anyone who's on PC and on Quest to a certain degree, it is the game that it is because of mods.
Right.
It is a hugely modded game. Now, the cool thing is that, like, being the PC version, for example, like, I don't think the Quest version had, like, there's tanks in the PC version, and like there's, like, like full blown, like, World War II combat and stuff like that with the tanks and such. And the PSVR 2 version is going to have all that because that was core game stuff. But I've seen many comments about kind of the age old question of console versus PC is going to be mods. And I think with the PSVR 2 getting more as it gets more and more established, that's going to be the big thing that separates PC from PSVR 2 is just mods. Whether that be mods to flat games to make them VR capable, or just the mod community within a game. And this is one of those games. Now, that being said, push the mods aside and the fact that you're going to be missing a lot of awesome content that makes Pavlov. I still was so sad that this never made it to the PlayStation. Contractors and Pavlov and Onward. These were the 3 military shooters. And that we're gonna have Onward, but Pavlov's gonna be the anti Firewall Zero Hour.
Oh yeah.
Which is great. It's gonna be that great combination of strategic, team based, and then like just the like much more rapid run and gun style shooter of Pavlov. And so such big good news that it's coming to PSVR 2. That's a big announcement, I think. It's not going to win people over that are on, say, the PSVR or on PC. It's not going to do anything for them, but the fact that it's on console now is awesome.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like I said, it's nice to have this at launch. I mean, Firewall's still up in the air. It's not been confirmed for a launch yet, and First Contact won't say anything about that. Alvo was hoping to get a launch or launch window, and I haven't heard an update on that yet either. So it's awesome that we're getting a well-established shooter brand. This isn't just like a brand new IP. This is Pavlov. This has been a go-to multiplayer first-person title on PC and Quest for years now. So getting this on PlayStation, this is a big deal. This is probably, out of all the things they announced during this thing, this was by far, to me, this was the biggest deal to PSVR 2 owners.
Now, Rogue there, I've adjusted my mic slightly on my end here. Let me know if I feel like I'm a little more balanced with Ryan here. So thanks for that. Pavlov coming to the PSVR 2 is, like you said, it's an established VR shooter. I think that's a big deal. I don't believe they say in there whether it has crossplay, but I'm going to guess it probably does. Pavlov's Shack, I believe, existed in its own kind of like little ecosystem. But I'm going to guess that this is the PC version. Hopefully it's got crossplay. I don't know how they're going to work mods with that. I'm going to guess we're not going to get mods on the PS5. Maybe curated mods. I don't know. They don't say anything. So that's just a question that we should like put a pin in. But
we should put this out too. Like they said, sharper textures, 120 hertz, so it's running at 120 frames per second, which is awesome.
Which is sorry,
Pavlov.
Yeah,
it's running 120 hertz. Well, it's
not a gorgeous looking game. It's a good looking.
And they do the eye tracking for enhanced piece selection, which I had to. That's the thing that everyone was liked about Firewall was the like selecting your icon.
You know what? As someone who's played Pavlov, that is a huge win because I hate that about Pavlov. Pavlov had you have to you pushed in your left stick and then like wiggled it around to select things, like to select your weapons and attachments, and that's really irritating when you're running and gunning. And so if they can somehow bring that up so that they're using gaze tracking, I'm all for that. That's sick. That's pretty cool. I think it's little things like that's going to be pretty awesome.
You gotta track the gaze. Yeah. So Pavlov's I'm pretty pumped for that. It's pretty, like I said, it's nice. Nice for what?
I was just
Yep. Go.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. No. I say I'm pretty. Just to say I'm pretty pumped. Like for PSVR 2 owners, I'm gonna do it. Like after Firewall, it was Elvo. I mean, anything between got either shut down or denied. And PSVR 1 owners really did suffer from a lack of multiplayer shooters, Honor and Duty. So this coming is, to me, a huge, not just for Pavlov, but for you said contractors or anyone else who like maybe wants to come to PSVR. The fact that Pavlov is kind of opening the gates for us getting more of these games.
Oh, Savage Gamer, dude, you did not need to do that, but thank you so much for that donation. And
Thank you, Savage.
Rogue, I am not softer spoken. I refuse to be softer spoken. And thank you, Tegan, as well. It's probably Tegan going out and giving her allowance. I don't know. But thanks to both of you guys. That's really nice of you. I feel like Pavlov, and then we'll move on here. Everyone's like, oh, PSVR2's got to get Alex, and then it'll be legit. Like then it's like really getting the PC games. Pavlov's one of those games. I mean, It's been around a while, but like we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Now, the reason I just wanted to touch on the fact that I hope it's crossplay is that I don't want to see another rigs. Like we all know that at launch with a new headset, there just isn't the numbers. And it's not the only multiplayer game that's going to be launching in that. They refer to as the launch window, which I think is the first month.
Yeah, it looks like at least the first month. I mean,
there might be some games that have literally moved themselves out like launch, just to like not be like caught, just to like spread the mass of titles.
Could be.
But regardless, I just I really hope that it is crossplay so that it's got that install base that's not going to be just PSVR. I'm also a big fan of just something I wanted to mention in the last podcast and I didn't. We talk about how Sony's not promoting the PSVR 2 awesome. One of the best ways I think that you can promote VR is to play with flat gamers and have them curious about how much better your experience is. And I told this story before about Squadrons, and I remember on like launch day, people were like so pumped to be playing this game, and I was in a lobby with all flat gamers, and they saw I was in PSVR, and they were like, "Oh my god, how is it?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm in an X-wing. I am literally inside an X-wing." And they're like, "Oh man, that's so awesome." That immediately plants a seed with those guys that are in that lobby playing flat. That maybe I love this game and I need to get a VR. GT7,
I'm putting a 10-episode embargo on that story, or like
I'm done.
Yeah, okay.
GT7 is going to be that game.
Oh yeah,
no, I know it's crossplay, right? And you're going to be sitting in that lobby, and you're going to be like, "I'm in this car, guys. I'm literally in this car. This is awesome." That's going to encourage people. It's definitely it's if you start to pile up the games like that. Anyways.
Yeah. So, and then of course they announced that we finally got the official announcement for Song in the Smoke Rekindled. It does look prettier. I don't have that trailer handy, unfortunately. I still have the old trailer and metal collection of trailers here. So, but it does look substantially prettier. It looks like there's a lot of lighting effects happening in the game. And it's Song in the Smoke. This was like if was it my game of the year? It was close. It was up there. I had a blast with Song in the Smoke.
Wasn't it 2 to Demio?
Probably that would make sense. Same year for sure. That would make sense. So yeah, I mean, and they confirmed, thankfully, free upgrade from the PlayStation version, which makes me happy because I'm missing trailers. No, that's okay. Whatever. Song in the Smoke Rekindled, free upgrade for PSVR owners, and one of my favorite VR games. Like I said, probably my favorite VR puzzler. As much as you like Green Hell, your hardcores, I did like that this was a bit more casual, just because. Yeah, missing trailers. That's weird.
Puzzler. Did you just call Song in the Smoke a puzzler?
No, I don't think I did. If I did, it was by accident. No, survival. I just said because it's more casual. I just kind of I like that as opposed to like Green Hell VR. That's all.
Now they talked about it taking advantage of sense controllers and haptics, which is awesome. That's going to be great. But the big thing, they said that it's going to add a new free jump and clamber mode, exclusive to PSVR 2. The free jump, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. The clamber mode, I don't know, maybe you're just able to climb surfaces now. That's awesome. And they also say it's going to have like better graphics than anywhere else, right? Also, free upgrade. I don't know if you mentioned that.
I did mention that. Yes.
Did you mention puzzling places? Because that was right before it.
Oh, look at me! I skipped right past puzzling places.
We can skip it.
Dude, puzzling places is awesome if you're into that. It works really well. It's actually super like zen if you want to just chill. Like it's a pretty cool game. It's one that's gotten constant updates since launch. It's actually crazy how often they're free updates and paid for updates as well. Obviously it's not for everybody. I mean, you have to want to build puzzles in VR. That's the only game mechanic in here, other than changing how you build them from like 20 pieces to like 400 pieces. I think they've added new modes in there as well. It's a puzzle game. It's not gonna blow anyone's mind, but it's for those casual players out there, it fills a niche and it does what it does amazingly well. I think it's a free upgrade. Yeah, it's a free upgrade for PSVR owners as well. So yeah, it's puzzling. I tried to find a trailer just so I could play
I mean,
it.
you know what? I mean, it doesn't do anything for me, but it is nice. I mean, it's good counter programming. I mean, I remember back on the PSVR one when there were so many games in the in some of those time periods. Sometimes it was nice to have like the chill game, the game that you just went and jumped into, to not be shooting things and running at things, and so it is what it is. The next game that got announced today, which I think is pretty big news, just because everyone was wondering where the confirmation was and what was happening, and that's Synth Riders.
Yay! And I mean, it's funny because we got Synth Riders here. We knew Pistol Whip was already coming, and we had that Kazuna AI game. So that Kazuna AI game is just dead. Like there's with Synth Riders and Pistol Whip coming out. I just think Pistol Whip's definitely more actiony than rhythm, but Synth Riders is a free upgrade, and that includes all your DLC, which is kind of the unknown question with Beat
I was
Saber,
wondering.
right?
I just read that. Yeah, they also confirmed that it has remastered visuals, nuanced controller haptics as you ride the rails, headset feedback for in-game obstacle feedback. That's cool. Um, and then they talk about next-gen performance, SSD optimizations, blah 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 for load times. Actually, that's probably pretty cool. The load times. The PS5 will be nice with that. And
I
yeah,
don't recall bitching about load times in Synth Riders.
I don't either, but the fact that but being able to jump in and out of songs really quickly, if you can just make that seamless, is going to be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
The SSD should never be understated with how much of an impact that can make on games and
And it's something they've really downplayed in regards to PSVR 2.
yeah.
They've been so focused on the tech and the headset, they've kind of been like they haven't really mentioned just how much of a benefit like the stuff that it's in the PS5 should also help with us. So
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's one of probably the only reasons that they're able to do dynamic foveated rendering on some of these high end games that we're going to get, like Horizon. Like I might be talking out of my ass a little bit, but I'm gonna guess that having it being able to like render and stream like instantly is a pretty big deal when it comes to that.
yeah, so Synth Riders, we finally got confirmation. That's a great one to have at launch. Especially like I said, especially with Beat Saber not being anywhere in the running just yet. And Synth Riders basically being like if it's not Beat Saber, it's Synth Riders, and everything else like this rhythm centric really does kind of fall into like first and second. I think third is dramatically further behind from these two.
Well, you got Pistol Whipped, Synth Riders,
See, I
and
don't
Beat
really count
Saber.
Pistol Whip as like I mean I know Pistol Whip is a rhythm game, but I don't put it in the same category. Like it doesn't. It feels more stylized, and because
It is not as music focused.
it
Like,
really isn't.
and its DLC packs are much more curated. Like, I mean, they're much more like thematic, and there's much more. But I still consider them in that same category because I think like those three games are the ones that like they're crowd pleasers. You can put friends in them, and it's song, song, song. You're out, next guy. It's that quick shit like that. Because we've talked about it before, but the thing that I'm the most excited about probably with PSVR 2 is bringing VR back in the living room and the sharing process. I have not shared VR in years like I did with the PSVR. Like, I mean, on New Year's, I had the Quest 2 there, and I had friends that wanted to play, and their kids wanted to play VR. And I was like, okay, hang on a second. I got to try to cast this to my phone. Here, everyone, look at my phone. Everyone was sitting there looking at the phone. I'm like, this is stupid. Anyways, it's nice to be able to make. These are one of those games. It's going to be just like fun to play with a group. Super hot. Yes. Next up, woohoo! Thumper.
been trying so long to find this damn trailer. There's a lot of games in this list that start with T, as it turns out.
I don't care about Thumper, man. I know a lot of you guys did, but like I saw Thumper.
Did you play Thumper? Hold on. Before I'm gonna cut you. Have you
Briefly?
played Thumper?
Briefly, it gave me a freaking panic attack. It really did. It made me feel really uncomfortable. And they advertised it as being 4K visuals, 3D audio, sense controller haptic feedback, and I'm like, okay, fine. But when I saw this and I saw Res Infinite both announced today, and like, I was like, really, really, what is this? 2016?
How dare you? No, I mean, look, it is pretty amusing. I don't have a Thumper trailer. I guess that's why I can't find it. I haven't played Thumper in years, and I've only ever played Thumper on PlayStation, I guess flat and in VR. And it's a striking game, and I think having that tech, I'm not sure if it doesn't say anything about other than just haptics in the controllers and the bump and resolution, obviously, but it's an intense game, man. And I think haptics is one thing, but just having that such a dramatic increase in the resolution has me like it's a gorgeous game. It's a like gorgeous like, in a really surreal way. It's called Rhythm Violence, and up until Pistol Whip, this is kind of the first one that was just it's intense. Thumper is one of the most intense games I've ever played in my life.
It has no reason being a launch title. It needs to move out of the way, stop taking up space
Oh
on
my
the store.
goodness.
No, go away. Same with Res. Like I don't care if they were good games. Even Tetris, away with you.
All right, I guess I'm playing this
Come
one.
out
But I
in a
guess I'm
couple-
playing
but
Tetris.
come out in a couple of months. I'm all for all these ports. Port them all.
No, it's an homage to the original PSVR 1 launch.
No,
Look,
it's
guys, we're getting PSVR 1 launch games all over again. It's 6 years ago today.
no, it's like
Yay.
Metallica's first album, man. Port them all. Port them all. I don't care. Give us
Port
all of
'em
them.
all.
But I don't want it in clouding that launch window. Like we don't. No.
I'm more looking forward to Thumper than you are.
I will allow Tetris because I think it's slick still. But enough of away. If you were a PSVR 1 game in the first year, away with you. Like what's next? Battlezone?
Is Connected cross-buy? Not cross-buy. Is it cross-play with other consoles? Because I know you can play Connected flat or not flat. The online. Can you play online with other consoles, or is it only console?
With which?
Tetris Connected or Tetris Effect Connected?
I don't know. But you know what game they need? You know what? Let's talk about launch games that need to come back. Bring rigs back. Bring rigs. Bring us a PSVR 2 remastered version of rigs. Not yet. Not yet. Let's not make the same mistakes twice. Let's bring it back in like a year, like year 2, when the user base is like up on the PSVR 2. Bring rigs back, remastered, maybe reimagined. Let's let some games that actually needed, a second chance try.
Yeah, it's crossplay. So I mean, you can play Tetris Effect Connected on your PSVR 2 and with your Switch friends.
All right, Shades of Grey Matter. I will allow Resident Evil 7 to be remastered and brought back out because it probably deserves a two-handed control. But maybe this is a hot take, but I think Res 8 is way better than Resident Evil 7. In fact, I would say Resident Evil 7 outside of VR is one of the least interesting Res games for me. Since from 4, 5, and 8. They're more action oriented. So I mean 7 would be nice to come back and get the whole VR but oh no.
Chris, what the bat?
Oh god.
Upload VR's VR game of 2022.
Yeah, well, it proves that Upload VR does drugs.
What are you talking about? It's what the bat.
Yeah, what the bat is right.
Why is there a Transformers trailer in here? This is driving me nuts.
Ooh, I do want Super Amazeball. I don't.
I mean, I haven't played With the Bat. I honestly totally ignored that game when it came out. I know it's a sequel to I don't know, Stick. I have no idea.
Oh yeah. I want a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game as well. Hell yeah. But you got to be careful what you ask for because we all see what Ghostbusters looks like that's coming at us. We got to get rid of the quest before we get a Ninja Turtles game.
Weird.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I don't know I honestly don't know what about this game other than the fact that Upload gave it the game of the year actually has me curious. I'm not expecting it to meet those expectations, but I am curious. So, and it doesn't really say, it just says it's coming. It doesn't say it's using the tech in any specific way or anything. So, what the bat? Woo.
Yeah. I like what Battle Mode said there. I'm going to do the weed and become what the Batman.
And then you touched on Rez.
VR doesn't do drugs; they do sponsorships. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry. Continue, Ryan. I cut you off.
Rez, Chris.
Oh God.
What do you mean? Oh God.
Oh God.
What are you talking about?
Tetris is next. Can't we just talk about all these in the same breath?
It's funny. Yeah, my trailers are just out to lunch. I'm giving up, guys. For some reason, this thing's only reading half the trailers in this drive.
Okay, are we talking
Rez, man. I mean, I never got this game. I didn't get it when it released in PSVR 2. It was game of the year that year, VR game of the year, which I totally disagreed with that year. Obviously, we're talking about a better resolution game, but this game is old as balls, and I even thought it looked old on the PSVR 1, even though I was playing the VR version. And it wasn't until the last stage, the only stage, like that final unlock stage, that actually was built for VR specifically, and it looked freaking amazing. And all you did was just fly around and take in all the pretty. It was awesome. That was one level. And then even if they do like up-res this and do whatever the heck they do, I just don't know if this game can be any better than it was 6 years ago, because it just wasn't built for VR to begin with. And they did an excellent port. I just didn't get it. I didn't get the hype. I don't get why it still gets so much love. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I just don't understand why it's such a beloved game.
Drugs.
I mean, you'd think so, right? But I don't get it. So I mean, it's a $10 upgrade. Same with Rez and Tetris Effect is a $10 upgrade for those that already own the game. So I guess there's that. So I mean, I'll probably end up picking it up just because it's only $10 more, just so I can check it out.
Nope.
Well, one of us has to, Chris.
I know.
One of us has to.
That's you. Okay. I'll put only up the money.
We're dipping into the super chat fund. Way to go, guys! You just bought me Rez Infinite.
You just bought us Rez, Thumper, and Tetris. Woo! Oh God. Yeah, so, yeah, and they say Rez. They say that it's getting some PS VR2 upgrades. They talk about the fact that eye tracking, so you can track and aim at enemies. Okay, and haptic feedback. Better have haptics. Okay, I don't care. Tetris Effect. I'm pumped about. I mean, like I'm pumped. I love Tetris in VR. I think it's a really awesome experience. Shout out to Savage Gamer. He put a review up there. If you want to call it a review, he pretty much just said it's Tetris. What more do you need to know? But I felt that Tetris in VR was, they doubled down on the because Tetris was a puzzle game and then it was like a Zen experience, and they doubled down on the Zen in VR. They were like, it was just that whole experience of music and visuals was mind blowing, and then of course, but I'm pretty excited about that. They do say that eye tracking enabled, so you can enter the zone by closing and then opening your eyes. I don't really know what they mean by entering the zone. You can also feel key moments of the game with your actions through headset feedback and haptic. So again, they're just using this to double down even further on the whole Zen moment and just, make money. And I feel like Tetris is a little bit of a cash grab, although at the same time, I'm all for getting every PSVR 1 we can that was worth owning onto PSVR 2. So in that regard, bring it on.
Right. All right. And then our last two new announcements here are Creed Rise to Glory Championship Edition.
Speaking of sponsorship,
I like Creed.
I did too, but when I was reading it, there right at the end there, Creed 3, the third installment of the hit franchise, opens in theaters nationwide. I'm like, oh, that's why it's back.
I love that. I laughed so hard when I read that. I was like, oh, is that why we're here right now?
Yeah.
The same exact thought went through my head. I mean, they say they revamped the entire multiplayer, which is awesome. As the multiplayer was fun, but it definitely had there was a jank factor attributed to that. It's got. I'm assuming it has all the everything, all the DLCs included, all the fighters. It sounds like they're going to put more fighters in there, more than likely from Creed 3. It's it'll benefit from the PSVR 2. It doesn't say anything about an upgrade though, which is a bit disappointing. But
Come on, Servios, you better
yeah, it
anyway.
doesn't. Yeah, but I mean, I don't. It should be good. Hopefully, hopefully it's a substantial upgrade. I guess. I mean, I don't have a trailer yet. All they have is the one picture, so I don't know. It's cool. Oh, it's his March 3rd too. Oh no, that's never mind. You just said that.
Here's the thing: there's two ways I look at these games that are being announced. It's like, am I excited that it's coming to PSVR 2? Yes. Like, I'm all for the ports, especially if they were good games. I just love the fact that that people will be able to play more of their library on the PSVR 2 and just, like, less holding them back to an old headset. That's just good across the board. And it's
Yeah.
good mojo for these developers too if they're doing a free upgrade. Love it. But I don't necessarily want to see these games in the launch window. That's why I may not come off as like super positive about these games. It's more the fact that I'm concerned about the optics of the launch window.
I think you're looking at it wrong. We have a boxing game, we have a racing game, we have this game, we have it. I think that's where they're covering their bases in regards to making sure they have something for everybody. And I get it. It definitely does feel like padding to us. I want to stress that because, like I said, we've been there. We've been playing. We played this game years and years ago, so we're kind of we're over Creed, right? But I mean, with this the third movie coming out in theaters after the first two being successes, and someone sees, oh look, Creed's available on PSVR 2, like it might, it's an established franchise. The fact you can be Rocky and all your favorite guys in there as well, like there is a reason to buy this, especially if you've never played this before PSVR 2.
Yeah.
So it's just, to me, it's covering your bases. It's making sure there isn't a missed genre on here. And I think that's what we're seeing with this. And it definitely feels bloated. In regards to like some games are just not gonna get the attention they deserve because of that. But at the same token, or at least they won't get the attention they deserve at launch, but maybe over the course of time they will. But to me, that's how I read a lot of these games. It's just covering bases and making sure that there's something there for everybody, so no one can't complain about there's no driving sim, or there's no, our sports games aren't covered, or this or that or this or that, right? So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not disagreeing with you either. Like, it does feel like it's in the way of what we want, but that's us. It's what, this isn't just for the hardcores, like people who maybe heard of Rez and were just like, Rez, I remember hearing about that game. I mean, now it's like friggin' Dreamcast. What is that? 20 years ago? More than 20 years ago? Maybe someone's like, Rez in VR. Let's check that out. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying there's a place for these games.
There's a
place,
and
it's not in your library.
Well, you know what?
Clearly,
you know what it maybe is just that I know Sony's not going to curate this launch properly. Like, if they really had like all the heavy hitters kind of like really all in one spot, so you could really see them, and then they had everything else genred out. Yes, this launch is going to look amazing. Like I mean, it is. There's so much. Like, it's just an absolute wealth of titles. And so if someone has PSVR 2 is my time to jump into VR, they're going to be overwhelmed with the amount of experiences, and there's not really any crap games yet.
Kazuna AI, I'd say, was definitely at the top of that crap list.
There's a few. Okay, there's a few in there, but not many. And if Sony could curate that store properly, but I think we just know how Sony's going to handle this, right? You're just going to bring up like recently released games in the store, and it's just going to be
yeah.
So I absolutely Savage Gamer Sniper Elite VR is a game that I think really needs to get a PSVR 2 port because it suffered so much on PSVR.
No aim controller, no buy.
Oh, you're one of them.
No, I'm just kidding.
But the two-handed controls. Oh God, you know what? I don't want to get into that. We still have to have the aim episode.
Yeah, I'll cut you off there. The last game announced, which was the last Clockwinder, one of my favorite games of last year. It's a simple game. It's a smaller game. I don't know if it's going to benefit too much from the PSVR, other than like the typical haptics or whatever else, but it's a fantastic puzzler in the clone-like genre, and one not to be missed. I absolutely love this game last year. It's like, so when I get consumed into beating a game, I just have to beat it, and I just spend like every waking moment like playing it. And it's not a lengthy game, but like once it got its hooks in me, which didn't take very long, I was enthralled by the game. Does that work?
Yep. It does look cool. I haven't played it yet. I ended up getting a copy over the holidays there, and as I'm not a guy who really likes puzzle games, but I love Rube Goldberg puzzles. I think I said that right.
Yep.
You like Incredible Machine type shit. I love that stuff. And this, I'm getting those vibes, and so that, like Lemmings, that type of Pikmin, like my wife loves those types of games. I love that type of that type of puzzle stuff. Where it's like kind of like what's
Ooh, it does look sexier on the PlayStation.
Does it?
Yeah, I'm just watching the trailer now. There's all these like new lighting effects, and yeah, it looks like it got a pretty decent boost in visuals. And these is in regards to the actual game, but it does look it has a lot more details. Oh wow. Oh yeah, they're using all like the cell shade lighting effects. Ooh, it looks pretty.
Cool.
And yeah, that kind of wraps up the games that were launched. They post a list of 30 plus games. And this list is incomplete even by so. If you go to if you go to the actual PlayStation Store and go to the PS5 or the PSVR 2 section, there's it's missing Hello Neighbor, Runner was in there as well, 2MD.
Hello Neighbor's in there.
It's not in this list.
Oh, it's not in that. No, in
the list they put at the bottom of this is it's like that's our games.
But it's in the store. It's under the PSVR 2 section of the store, so they can't. But I mean, guys, Ryan's been talking to developers like Ryan's been talking to everybody who's ever made a VR game in the last month to try to have a definitive list that's not bullshit. Like many other locations we've seen that are just making guesses or not talking about things, and Ryan's on top of his stuff here, and he's been talking to developers like, "Oh no, we're still coming at launch," and we don't have those confirmations yet, so I guess we can't really talk about it. But there's still some games coming that are ports, but still coming. And so I don't know, it's all over the place.
They listed 30 games here. My current count for confirmed launch games is at 45 games. And so unless something changes behind the scenes, unless something is delayed for whatever reason, the list that I have is sound. If you even watch that video I put out there of the 30 plus games I confirmed at launch, Among Us got removed from that list. They confirmed that after the fact that it's not going to be a launch title, even though they did say it was going to launch alongside the headset. And outside of that, so far everything else in that list has been confirmed, and now we got a bunch more titles. So like I said, 45 games and counting. It's going to get crazy up in here, man. Crazy.
So before we start to wrap things up, I just want to shout out to all of you guys. We had over 50 people watching, which is really special for Ryan and I as we've continued to grow this channel and this podcast. So all of you who have been sitting here watching, or in the chat right now, or listening on the podcast networks, I just want to say thank you so much. It really means a lot. Special shout out for those of you who are our lovely patrons, and those of you who've contributed in the chat with super chats. It's just really helps us do what we're doing here. So appreciate all the likes, the comments. It really makes a big difference, and I just wanted to say that for everybody runs away. Don't forget to check out our Primal Hunt review, and Ryan's also got a review up for the game that Colossal Cave. So we've got 2 reviews up there. Check that out, guys, if you haven't already. Ryan, did you give away Primal Hunt, the last code?
I'm checking. I don't know if I did or not.
I
think I did, but 1, 2. Nope. Third code coming right now.
Boom.
Whoopsie. My bad. Got a lot going on over here.
I was actually going to ask you to hold on to it for a little bit later, so it's good that it just slipped your memory there. So incoming, guys. Incoming.
I'm just putting the code there. You guys know what it is. You're paying attention.
Last
code, guys.
I did not know that IGN covered PSVR 2 on their Beyond episode, but I think we all know. Oh, that was probably going to go. They're probably just like Horizon, GT7, No Man's Sky. I don't know.
You can't watch those channels for PSVR 2 info. That's embarrassing if you're watching IGN for that info. Other than to see what they got wrong or see if they have any new reveals, but for actual knowledge, I wouldn't trust those guys.
It said
Damn,
redeemed
someone's
already,
quick,
Rogue.
man. Someone's quick.
Or are you sure that code wasn't put out already?
Well, if it was, that was the third one.
Okay.
I'm checking right now to make sure I didn't miscount, but I know I didn't. There's the other one right there. It ends in. Yeah, someone snagged it, Rogue.
Too bad. So sad.
Too bad. So
I
sad.
haven't heard that for a long time, eh?
Funny story yesterday. Before we all in some the complete side note, I have to tell somebody. Then we'll take off. I was beating up my wife yesterday, and then she decided to fight back. And then she goes, "How do you like them apples?" And she said it with 100% sincerity. And I was like, "Who says that with 100% sincerity? How do you like them apples?" I'm like, "I
How
don't
do you
know."
like them apples?
It's the weirdest thing. So that's my stupid story.
Is
My
that
wife's
from
like,
like Goodwill Hunting?
dude, I don't know. It's like an old timey
I'm
saying.
pretty-
Probably something like your grandparents said.
I don't know. I know it from Goodwill Hunting, I think. Anyway. Yeah. Guys, thanks again for watching. We'll just close things down here. Thanks again for supporting, watching, doing all the things that you guys do. Really appreciate it. We next week, there seems like there might be Ryan's out of town.
I'm out of town again, guys, so we're gonna try to play that game. We're gonna try to be live. Unless there's technical issues, we will be live. If not, we're gonna try to pre-record and still get it up at the same time. Either way, unless there's dramatic issues, there'll be an episode next week. Unless you're shutting that down, Chris.
No, not necessarily. We'll see how she goes.
All right. So yeah, Patreon supporters, thank you so much. All you guys subscribers, all you guys in chat, Savage Gamer, Donald D, Salvador, Rig Ammer, all you guys for your donations, fantastic. Thank you so much for support. Like Chris said, man, 50 guys in chat today was awesome. The PSVR definitely brings the people. So as long as we keep getting blog posts, I guess we'll keep talking about it.
It's nice though, it's not just the fact that obviously it brings out our PSVR people who, which is basically what Ryan and I, grew our channels as and started out as, and that's kind of where our heart is. It's also just really nice to see people excited about VR. And I think
that's it.
I think that's what a lot of it has to come down to, because it's just good. It's good for VR no matter how you try to like kind of play it. It's good for
Look,
PC.
the nature of this podcast has us bitching, and we do bitch, and this is kind of like this is what we have. This is the other side of like the of the BMF coin, if you will. And it's just nice, so even when we can be negative, like we are both so pumped for the headset. We're so pumped for the future of VR. I mean, I'm pumped to see what the Quest 3 has to offer.
Ooh.
As much as we can bitch and complain about anything, I am super pumped. We are super pumped. So as much as this can be negative, we can't wait. We're so excited. Chris, go.
I need to cut Ryan off. Sorry, because the people are going to peace out. I just want to put out while you guys are still kicking around here. Shugmas. I have caught up now. I was kind of working away on it throughout the week. I got everybody who emailed me. I either have given you your codes, or if you are one of the guys who are looking for the virtual rifle systems or VR cover or VR wave or EU codes for synth riders, those are requiring some conversations before we kind of get that information off to you. So that should be it. So if you guys are in the chat here and you haven't watched the giveaway, get on that. I only sit so long on codes. Actually, a lot of guys, I would say 80% of the people have already gotten their codes back. So just wanted to put that out there, guys. And don't forget to check the community post, because I did miss Cave Digger and Tac. No,
it was
Broken Edge. Broken Edge.
Thank you. Yeah.
I missed both of those games, and the winners are in that community post. So,
all right. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Say goodbye, Ryan.
Goodbye, Mregammer, whatever his name was.
Bye.